I noticed something like about 20, maybe about 25 years ago, or even more. My parents are from Nagpur. Like we were doing some agriculture and things like that, and there was a stream. And all those dried up when somebody decided to start cultivation on top of the mountain. They cut some trees. With that it went off. So I used to think now how to stop these people from doing this and all those things, and like I didn't have the courage to go and talk to anybody, and like if you say something against anybody they'll start to fight. So it's like basically confronting that you are doing a damage and it's causing trouble to all the people down the mountain. So even now the place has got further dry. Cannot cultivate unless you dig a deep well. And then again, what is going to happen when you dig deep down and take the water out, and so many things can change. Like, it's nice that I'm in touch with you, like maybe can go in some direction to make a change.
You can introduce yourself.
Right.
Okay, my name is Somaratne, K.C. Somaratne. I have done chemical engineering, but not in the university, but through my IChemE exams. I have been in the industry for a little while, for about say 20 years. And during the last 15 years, I have been running my own management consultancy. But last 3 years, I have been doing reasonable, I would say reasonable after listening to Dr. Zubair, desk research on climate change. Actually, Dr. Zubair mentioned that rainfall, rather the stream flows has decreased, but I read in an article which was published overseas in August last year, August this year, that it has been increasing at the rate of about 24 cubic kilometers per year. I believe it is, of course, it looks at a particular time frame. It talks about the period 1994 to 2006. I believe, after listening to Dr. Zubair, I would imagine that things should have been different elsewhere, but in Sri Lanka, the rainfall and rather the stream flows would have come down, whereas it may have increased elsewhere. Actually, Dr. Zubair had been probably looking at it in a more holistic, philosophical and very broad-based fashion. I have not yet got into that philosophical mind frame yet. I always imagine that being engineers, right, we can always find a solution for it. I don't know, that's one very bad weakness in me. I always think, okay, you have a problem, I guess we can find a solution. I believe to be a successful management consultant, you need to have that, right? You should be able to give a solution to any problem. So that's how I had been looking at it. Actually, I had been mostly concentrating on climate change arising out of this. I have looked at it from different viewpoints, right? Okay. If you look at climate change, people would say that, okay, it's greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases have been generated by industry, by energy generation, agriculture, forestry, transportation. I have been mostly looking at climate change due to transportation, because I believe that it's transportation which really upsets the climate. Agriculture actually, even if you look at, even if you look at energy, or even if you look at all these changes that have taken place, why have these changes taken place? We wanted to have more food, we wanted to have better shelter, we wanted to have more clothing, we wanted to have more comforts, we want to be more mobile. If you really look at these few sectors, I believe food, shelter, clothing, comfort, I would consider them more necessary than mobility. Right. So, and then I also see that transportation impacts the climate change in a very significant fashion. Although greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide centered climate change analysis, actually that's what I really challenge. Carbon dioxide centered climate change analysis. I believe there is something missing there. Because of this carbon dioxide centered climate change analysis, we tend to look at these things in the priorities. The priorities being decided by the extent of carbon dioxide generation, whereas they could do other things. And it is in that spectrum that I always look at transportation as a reasonable field to look at in order to eliminate or reduce climate change. In fact, when I told Dr. Zubair the other day I'm going to talk about the solution for climate change, he asked me, okay, do you think you could do that? I felt so bad about that. Then only I knew how ignorant I am about the whole thing, right? But being ignorant at that point, I would not give up. As he mentioned rightly, I would go in for more and more knowledge. I believe knowledge is available, seldom made use of. I know that's what I have to share with you, right? Thank you. Those are two useful perspectives. I didn't realize I had such an impact. I mean, it's just a genuine question. I mean, the way Pushpa framed it, that you could see that the springs were drying and the water levels were going down. So that was, and so you felt sufficiently confident that that was related to the deforestation at the dead streams. And if you listen to the hydrologists, they really don't know much better. I mean, they can polish it up, but that's all they know. Right? They can balance it out, but you can do it in your head. But that's the beginning, I think, understanding the local context and making, at least understanding at that scale, the relationship between environmental change and its consequences. And also beginning through that to understand that there was an issue of justice involved. The people who benefited from clearing the forests at the upstream did benefit them. They did benefit overall. Right? And the people downstream bore the costs of what happened. So there is a scale issue in the sense that, can we think along the whole catchment And this sort of encapsulates what the whole planet is based on. Some people benefit and some others pay the price. Maybe sometimes the person who benefits also pays the price, and then there is what they call the tragedy of the commons. There's this expression about the tragedy of the commons, is that it's a British term, which is, so if you have a place, a common place for the whole village, and the grass is growing, and if everybody lets their cows go and eat up all the grass, or at least a few people do it, right? The people who fed their cows benefit because the cows get fatter. But if you sort of regulated that so that they only eat up to a certain level, and it was shared in the community, so that you don't really kill the roots of the grass, then there is some sustainability to it. But inside that is that issue that some people benefit, some people do not. And then the third point to this, which is is realization, knowledge, right? Issues of social organization, equity, whatever. And the third thing is, how do you make change, and how do you confront, in this particular case, power differences. And this is the hardest thing. Usually we talk of best way is education. The next best way is incentives. We give some incentives for everybody so that they can cooperate and maintain the services, the ecosystem services of the environment. And third is some enforcement. So that's the hardest one. So for that you need, if you go back to your basin situation, then you need cooperation, or at least of the majority of the people. There's some ways in which the will of the people is expressed and is represented, so that there is some control and some coordination. So at least you want to begin at that small scale, and then little by little you build up the expertise to go higher and higher. But the problem is that you have this problem now at global scale, regional scale, national or scale, maybe subnational scale, and so on. So that